I wanted to start off this conversation just with a little bit of history about what women building airports is. And just by a show of hands, who is here for the first time participating in a women building airports event? I see a lot of hands. Welcome, welcome. Now, for those that are the tried and true dedicated women building airports supporters, I thank you, especially the women of the Airport Development Group, but also our allies. We also have a lot of allies in the room, and especially our leadership. So Emery and Jake, I gotta give a special shout out to you from LAWA's Airport Development Group leadership team. Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna get this conversation started. I know she needs no introduction. Cynthia is known by everyone. Yes. But I did want to just take a few moments to just highlight and give a little bit of the fun facts about who she is and a little bit about her career journey. Because I think by talking about where she came from, it's going to be helpful in where this journey is going to continue for you. So I think you just, a couple days ago, celebrated your 6-year anniversary at Long Beach Airport. So July 29, 2019, you took the role of director here. And I think you have just a few years under the belt of local government experience, just a couple, maybe 32-ish, and 20 of those years in airport management. And prior to joining Long Beach, which is a wonderful organization, America's coolest airport.
Woohoo!
I was going to start a competition, but it's trademarked, so I can't say that LAX is the coolest airport. So I'm not going to go there. So before joining Long Beach, you were a deputy executive director at Los Angeles World Airports. And you served in multiple roles there, leadership roles. And I think there's many in attendance here that worked under your leadership. Now, you oversaw over 400 people in your role, overseeing LAWA's Planning and Development Group. You also managed planning, environmental, engineering, facility management. The list goes on and on. But you also, this is what I wanted to talk about, you held positions at the position of Chief of Planning. You were also a civil engineer. And there's a debate that we're going to talk about. One of the first female civil engineers at LAWA, and Rosa Bryce, who's in the audience, we've got, who recently retired. We have a debate going on who was the first woman of color civil engineer at LAWA. So we'll have that debate later on. It was Cynthia? Okay. But before that, the reason why I'm going down the rabbit hole of your career, you started off as an associate with the city. It is very rare for someone to start from the bottom, right? From the very entry level to work your way up to an executive and now overseeing an airport. So this is why I'm so excited to have this conversation with you, because you are trailblazing for so many other women and others in this industry. So you have a background in civil engineering and project management, and you've led efforts of multi-billion-dollar projects, which we're going to talk about. But I also wanted to mention you were responsible for the construction safety, logistics, inspections, and quality assurance programs. And so I just wanted there are members of those teams here, and if I could just have you either raise your hand or stand up proudly representing those groups within the Airport Development Group at LAWA. Stand up, please. Safety is so important, and so again, you leading that at LAWA and the legacy that you've left behind is so important. You hold a bachelor's degree in civil engineering from University of California, Irvine, and an MBA from Pepperdine University. And you're also a licensed professional engineer. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So, a couple of quick facts about you, your life, your legacy. And so, with all of that being said, and before we hop into the conversation, is there anything that you wanted to share to get us started?
Well, first of all, welcome to Long Beach Airport, and I am so excited to see all the faces in this hangar. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yes. Wow. Some faces I haven't seen in 6 years, but just really, really pleased to see you all. And at first, I do want to also say thank you to Jet Zero. You guys, I hope you enjoyed the tour. This is an amazing facility, and this is the future. So being able to allow you guys to have that opportunity today is incredible. And so keep your eyes on Jet Zero, and we're just so gracious that they've allowed us to be in their hangar, one of their hangars here today. And so they've been an incredible partner for the Long Beach Airport. And then also to LAWA. Amy reached out, and I was more than willing to be a part of the conversation, but I am so excited of what LAWA is doing and spearheading this effort of really reaching out to many, many women and hearing her story about building airports, and it's so important that we do this, and just really want to applaud LAWA for being out there in front in making this happen. So thank you, Amy, and thank you to Mike and the LAWA team. And then also I do want to say thank you for Long Beach Airport staff. Where are you? You're back there. So also there is a lot of work that happens behind the scenes, and you know, I have the honor and privilege to be the director, but there's a lot of work that goes on, and we have an incredible team here at Long Beach Airport, and so they make me look good, and so I really do appreciate them and want to acknowledge their wonderful teamwork. And I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you. Okay, so we went through a couple fun facts about you, and we've shared a little bit about your career journey. And I think at this point, what we all want to know is why? Why do you work in this field that you do? What made you choose this industry?
So it's really, it's not difficult of an answer because a part of me, and even though I am an introvert, one of the things though I enjoy watching people travel. And so I really believe that those of us that work at airports, and it doesn't matter whatever capacity, whatever role that you have, we get to be a part of someone's journey. And that is to me a privilege and an honor that we get to have. We get to touch where they're going, whatever that reason is. And when I started my career in aviation, I had no idea about airports and how they really function. I was just, I was the eager beaver engineer wanting to learn as much as I can about planning, design, and construction. But within 6 months of being at LAX, I knew I wanted to be in aviation. And it's because it is a little city, right? All airports have that feel. You're like a little city. But it's also about knowing you have, you know, millions of people run through an airport every day. And so the impact of that, and knowing that I get to touch that journey for them, to me was powerful, And there's so many emotions that to me happen in an airport, so many reasons why people travel. And so we know that customer experience is a huge big thing, right, in our business. And so being able to do that for me was very rewarding. It's service.
So we know the why you are here, and in aviation and transportation and development, right? It's encompassed all of that throughout your career. I think, you know, along with everything that you've accomplished in your career, you know, I'm just curious, all of these projects that you've worked on. You've worked on so many, and I've got to say, the ones at LAX are probably the best, yes? Okay. In my opinion.
Okay.
But I am curious, out of all the projects that you have worked on and overseen throughout the years, what were the most important and impactful for you?
Okay. So this might be a little surprising, but well, maybe not. So I'll share, and I'm going to talk about three. I'm going to talk about three projects. Because when I first came to LAWA, it was right before 9/11. And right after 9/11, everything shifted in the aviation industry, and especially at LAX. It was all about safety and security. It was so different. And are there any folks who were there in 2001? Oh, I see you, Evelyn. Yes. And one of my first projects that I had from cradle to grave was a little bitty small, maybe $10 million project. You know, those are just small, projects. But it was the AED project at LAWA. You remember that? And being able to install those defibrillators in all of the terminals. That was like one of my, first projects at LAWA. And actually, I hold it dear because it's about saving lives. So that was one. And then secondly, I would say working on the LAMP program, which, I keep my eye on what's going on up there. But all that great construction, all that collaboration that's going on in this region is amazing. I mean, so being able to be a part of the LAMP program, and that program started many years ago, and seeing where it is, I am so excited for LAX and LAWA, and when that 8 p.m. starts, I am there to be able to ride on it and do that. But it was a team of us, right? It was a big team of us, and there are, I want to say, thousands of folks working on the LAMP program, but that will be something we should all be proud of. And certain elements are already open, but what an incredible opportunity to be part of the LAMP. And then lastly, I got to bring it home to Long Beach Airport, because we have been able to finish an amazing modernization program over the last 5 years, actually. In a new ticketing lobby, a new baggage claim facility, a new meter greeter plaza, renovated historic terminal, new roadway. We have been able to just keep it going, which I love construction. So being able to have that happen right here at this airport, transforming this airport during our 100th anniversary period is just a phenomenal opportunity, and something that I know I'll feel really great about when I look back on my career. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, so that final project,
Yes.
Long Beach Airport, okay.
Accept it, it's okay.
Accept it, okay. I think you just won an award for being the second
Yes.
in the nation.
Okay, so Amy brought this up, so I am going to tout it. By the Washington Post, we were named the second best airport in the nation out of 50 airports. Yes. We did not pay anyone for that. We didn't. It was a gift. And so just a month ago that was announced, and you know what just a great testament for us as a small hub airport in the region. And again, you do your work, you put your head down, you're trying to do the best you can in our field, and to be able to be distinguished like that is really an honor. And so it's all of us, that have worked so hard together. And so to be able to be second, of course we want to be first, because we're competitive, but to be second amongst, the nation is just really a great honor. Yep.
We'll deliver the crown when you get to number one.
Okay.
Next year. But congratulations on number two. That is a huge feat.
Yep.
Okay, so shifting gears a little bit. In our audience, we have the full spectrum of attendees. We've got seasoned professionals in this audience, but we also have those that are just starting out on this career journey. And I have to give a special shout out to a little intern in the audience, my daughter Leilani,
Hey, all right.
who's listening intently to this conversation. Those that are just starting on their career path, whether it's the broader industry, whether it is specifically in the AEC, the architecture, engineering, construction industry. If you're starting out in this career, what advice do you have to inspire them to pursue this and continue this long journey that they have ahead of them?
Yeah, and first, I am looking across the room. I am excited to see these young faces in here, and it's so important that you do continue on. When I look at, and I was mentioning to Amy earlier that when I look at stats and I look at what's happening in our industry, I mean, the AEC community, and really, let me just broad brush it first with STEM, right? Let me just broad brush it for a moment. I do think that the United States, we are doing a better job, as far as trying to increase the STEM field and in those, in the career path. But the demand for STEM professionals, AEC professionals, is like triple of what's out there right today. And so we need to continue to build this workforce, and that opportunity is there. We need to be working on this next generation because the work is there, and it needs us. It needs us, and I would say both male and female, but certainly I do know as women, we're not in that field, as high of a percentage, but we need that growth, because those are where, when you have that skill set, not just about being able to create and be a part of developing some amazing, innovative work and technology improvements that are out there, but it's also from a financial perspective as well. I mean, so we don't all do stuff for the money, right? Some folks do we don't always do things for the money, but that is a big part of it. And STEM fields in the AEC community, those are typically double as far as salaries, and so you have that component as well. So there's a demand for the skill set that's not being met. There's the opportunity from a workforce and livability and cost of living standpoint that's an opportunity there. And yes, there is that part of trying to also really represent. And when I say that, it's both male and female, it's all colors of trying to be out there and be in this industry, because that diversity is innovation. It brings power. It brings creative ideas. And so it's so important to bring up this next generation. I think there's so many other careers that, and I have kids, I have teenagers, and so, sometimes they look at the fast, what's the quickest, fastest way I can make the most money? And STEM fields in the AC, where it does take some hard work. I mean, you got to put it in. You got to learn. You got to sometimes be an apprentice. Sometimes you got to take those slower steps. But the payoff is worth it. And again, as I started out talking about being able to work in an industry where you touch, people's lives, that's what you do in AEC. You're problem solvers, and you're touching people's lives. That's the power. That's what we need to see in this next generation increase. Otherwise, we won't be ready. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So one of the purposes of the Women Building Airports initiative is to hopefully expose more women and allies about AEC. But I also wanted to bring into the conversation what other organizations that you're involved with that the others could learn about to become a part of. I know there's a few that you are heavily involved with to help with networking, to be exposed. And if you could just speak on that.
Yeah, and I know some of you may be already involved in various organizations, but they're out there. And if you want a career in this field and you want to explore just endless possibilities, there's so many organizations. Definitely, you've heard of Women in Transportation, so WTS is out there. I know some of you are involved in WTS. There's also, CMAA. There's ASCE, there's AMAC. AMAC is also a great organization. I'm on actually a planning committee now for a women's summit, Women in Aviation Summit in September 18th and 19th in Atlanta this year, called She Soars. So there's a lot of different organizations. COMPTO is another one. There's many organizations out there that are great for networking, which I believe in relationship building, and I want to encourage you all also, for those of you who are starting your careers, network. Meet different people. Don't be shy. Introduce yourself and connect with folks. Get mentors. Do all of that in order to expand your career options. And also, even if you're mid-level, continue to do that. I'm still trying to learn. I don't know about you. I'm still trying to learn different things. And so I do think it's important to yes, do the things that you do at work, but also get very much involved in the many organizations that are out there, because they're there to support. Absolutely.
I love it.
Yep.
You and I were both on a panel about a year or so ago for WTS Transportation U. I can't speak enough great words about organizations and learning and networking.
Yep.
So I totally agree.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. Again.
Can we wait? Amy's great. Give her a hand. I just have to say, because when you said that, I did think about on the panel we were on, and you are such a great cheerleader for our industry and are doing a phenomenal job. And I know you go above and beyond. So thank you for what you do.
I appreciate that. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate everything that you do to support others, like myself. I mean, it's a dream to be able to sit here and have this conversation with you. And with that, we've had so many conversations about this journey that you've been on. And I think one of the conversations leading up to this event, you and I spoke about taking risk. And there's certain points in your career where you might be at a crossroads and you're not sure what to do. And you might be challenged and you're not sure what to do. And I'm curious, what point in your career, or what points in your career were you challenged at maybe an opportunity to say yes or change, and what was most impactful for you?
Well, that was a lot in that question. Okay.
Take your time answering.
All right, I'm gonna take my time on that one because, let me share a couple of things, and I'll first start out with a career choice. So I was fairly new at LAWA, and my decision, and you'll get this in a second, because I did not have no idea that I was going to be an airport director, say, for instance, but the decision I made to go back to school and get my master's in business, that to me was an investment that I didn't even quite understand at the time. I just felt that I needed to develop my skills, and I started going to school at night. It was a lot of money. I paid a lot, but I focused my master's also in organizational development. I had no clue that I would need that later on, but I felt at the time that was something that was I wanted to invest in, something I wanted to invest in, and the payoff, is more than tripled. And so, again, sometimes you make life choices and risk, because again, I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to pay this, but I did it. And maybe it helped because I was single at the time, but but I made that decision, took that risk, and now I understand, why. And then secondly, I would say really a big change for me was my decision, and some of you that were at LAWA remember this time, when I decided to leave the civil engineer classification and move to chief of airport planning. That was a big decision, a big risk for my career. And the reason why I say that is because as a civil engineer, there's a certain, you have, projects, from cradle to grave and all those things, but, leaving that classification and going to a completely different classification as a planner, I knew I would probably get criticized a little bit. I had incredible sponsors or champions in my life. And so putting my name in that hat to leap over to a new class, it could have gone a lot of different ways. I think it paid off, but that was a big change for me. It truly was. And so that was an adjustment that I had to make and a risk, but it was definitely worth it.
And again, I cannot agree more than, with what you've just said, especially to your point about getting a sponsor, finding an advocate, finding someone to help guide you, to bounce ideas off of, and to be an advocate for you as you're trying to navigate the career.
Yeah. It was tough. There's a few folks in here that remember that time. Yeah, but no regrets at all.
Okay. No regrets.
No regrets.
No regrets at all of the crossroads. Now, there's a couple of topics that we've chatted about, and a couple of things that I think this audience, and actually maybe nobody knows about you. And this was probably my most favorite question as we were preparing this event. What is it? What is something that nobody knows about you? And I know there's a lot.
You say that, Amy, but I think a lot of folks know a lot. I'm out there. A lot of folks know different things, right? Yeah. See, they're agreeing with me. I'll share
Just
one
a couple,
thing.
yeah, just a couple.
I'll share. So, I don't know if anybody knows. Okay, so one of the things that I did want to do that has nothing to do with engineering, that I really wanted to have is I wanted, and I had developed this whole business plan. I know Mike's looking at me intently. What is it? I actually wanted to design a golf apparel line, high end, yes, for a golfer. So that was one of my ideas. No, you're saying go for it. Yes, that's something probably maybe a small handful of folks know. Yes.
So you'll start off with women golf apparel.
Women golf apparel.
And maybe expand out to men's wear. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can we talk about another fun fact? Maybe a franchise that you
Yeah.
once owned?
Yes. So some folks do know about this, but I did in my early 20s. I owned a Subway store, and so some folks don't know that. So I did that. I had a couple of other women partners, and we were all three of us were engineers, and so I would work all day. And this was before my LAWA days, and at night, I would go to the store. And sometimes, when you're younger, you have so much energy, because how in the world would I stay there till 11 o'clock at night and then get up and go to work the next day? It was amazing. But that experience, and we did that for a few years, made some money, and, got out of it. But that experience, especially being in my early 20s, and my parents almost had a fit when I told them I was going to do this. but that experience of having, you know, your own staff, and you're doing schedules, you're doing marketing, you're doing all these things. You know, you got to figure out the insurance, you got to figure out payroll, all of those type of things really helped me in my career. And so you know, you can take, you know, certain skills are transferable, right? And so that experience was so wonderful. And it was also funny because, you know, someone would come up there and say, well, can I speak to the manager? And, you know, here I am, you know, I'm here, you know, so looking like a college student. So, but it was great. That's one of the things that I've done as well. Yep.
Okay, now that golf apparel,
I'll just put it all out there for you.
sandwich franchise,
Yep.
engineer.
Yep.
So with that being said, did you have a vision for yourself?
Heck no. I did not. So what I'll say is this: the one thing I knew, and my parents were very much, you know, influential in the sense of you go out there and you get an education, and I was the first one in my family to graduate with a degree. And my parents really pressed hard in me, you know, that I could do it. And so sometimes it was rough, you know, being sometimes the one and only in many rooms, and it even started in college. And so, but that encouragement and that support that I had was, I didn't really deserve it, but I had it, right? And so I knew, because my parents taught me, whatever you do, and I would say this to all of you, no matter what it is, you give it your best. You do, you know, so you cannot go back and say, I didn't, you know, put all that I had in it. You give it your best. And so that was put into me from by my parents. But my vision was more broad. It was just, you know, I do want to make a difference. I want to be an engineer. I want to make a difference. But I didn't quite have that exact vision of what that was supposed to look like. And it wasn't really until probably midway in my career did things start to gel more. And then I got pregnant. You know, I got married and I got pregnant, right? And so then, you know, and I had to you know, figure out, you know, how to mom and all that look like, but that's later. But it wasn't until my mid-career that I would say, and this is where I would tell many of you, is sometimes you don't have to have it all figured out all at once. You make a plan, it's a high-level plan, you make a plan, but sometimes that plan does take you, that little journey takes you in different places. And so it wasn't till later that I realized, well, maybe, you know, one day I want to be, you know, at an executive level position. And it's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. I mean, there's times you have to put in the hard work that, you know, can take away from other things, right? Right. I'm trying to see if these other deputies are like, yeah. So I wasn't one of those folks that, you know, at 18 or 19 had it all figured out, or I didn't have it all figured out at 25 either. It took time. But I do know that I needed to stay progressive. I needed to keep forward. I needed to keep learning. I wanted to expand my skill set. And sometimes you plan, you prep. So when that door is there, when that opportunity is there, you're ready. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You just mentioned a couple of things in that response, and along with your vision, and you talked about how, you know, you got married, and then kids came along. And so you're a wife, you're a mom, and on the side you're a director of an airport. Work-life balance. What does that mean to you? Does it exist? Have you figured it out?
No? Has anyone figured out? Does anyone have a playbook on that? You know what? This question is asked a lot, right? And you know, a lot of times we say it's work-life harmony. But I would say this, and this is serious here, that there are seasons in your life, and you pick some time, you know, the right season. I actually got married late in my career, I would say, late in my life, and had children, because you know, when you're at home, you need to be plugged in, and you realize, especially for those moms out there that are working moms, is you want to be there for, you know, those games, those events, you know, those important moments. And so, you know, knowing that hey, if you have a boss, you know, now it's a lot easier now than it was 15, 20 years ago. But now, you know, knowing that I need to be there for those moments. I don't want to miss those moments for my children is so important. And gratefully, we have work now that allows you to do that a lot more. But back in the day, there were some tough times, and where you want to be there and you can't, or you know, work demands you, and you know you got to take that time off. And one of the things I remember saying when I was working back at LAX, I would tell folks, hey, let's all stay married. Let's stay married. You know, and it was just my way of saying, you know, let's make sure, you know, that we, you know, keep home intact, because, you know, I wouldn't be where I am without a wonderful husband, and the support that he's giving me. And because it can take a toll on your entire family when you work in certain positions. I mean, that's real, that's life, right? And so having that support is so important. And then there are times where maybe you can't take that job that, you know, that is out there, that's an opportunity. And so you have to really, you know, make those decisions. That's what it means to me, you know. And so just, you know, when I look back in my career, just being really mindful of what are the consequences of this choice versus that, and trying to understand that. Yeah.
Yes?
Don't make me cry out here. You know, I'm a little teary.
I think we have one of the more important questions. I know every question, I feel like I'm prefacing it with every question is my favorite or the most important.
You're in my living room right now.
I got to get the paper out. I have to get the paper out on this one, because we're going to talk about, and if you've attended a Women Building Airports, we've talked about this topic before, and it's the topic of imposter syndrome. And for those that don't know, and I want to get it right. So what is it? A psychological phenomenon where individuals feel like frauds despite their accomplishments, leading to self-doubt. Ironically, people with imposter syndrome are often the most highly accomplished individuals. Imposter syndrome. Mm-hmm. How do we collectively address it and make it go away for men and women?
For men and women. And that's I think, such an important topic of conversation, because I do think both men and women feel that at times. I don't know who admits it more, but it's there. It's a real thing. And there are times that, yeah, you know, you at least along in my career, should I be at the table? What if I don't say the right thing? Should I say anything at all? Do I want to be correct? I want, you know, and so there are times in your career or in my career that I said, I gotta overeducate myself on this one little topic before I get in the room. I mean, those are real things that I can see that can play, you know, in your mind. And some of it could be for various reasons. It could be, you know, if you are the first in your family to do X, Y, Z. It could be the color of your skin. It could be you in a different field that, you know, no one else, you know, if you're the only female in there, you could feel a certain way. I mean, it's a real thing that I do think that we should be talking about, and sometimes it does take a while to get past it a little bit. And so you can become kind of over obsessed with being an overachiever, and you got to navigate that in your life. But I will say this: when you get to a certain age, I won't talk about what age, but when you get to a certain age, I think it's very important to you start looking back and you think about some of the things that you've been able to accomplish. And you think about some of the things that you realize, I was more than capable, I'm more than qualified, I'm more XYZ to be at this table. And it's not, sometimes you're thinking, oh, I want to be, well, some people think this, I don't think everyone, oh, I need to be, quiet, I need to be demure, I need, some folks think that, and I'll admit I've thought that from time to time, but realize that you're educated, you have the qualifications, you've done the same thing that anyone else has done, and it's okay. You're there, you've earned that seat at the table, and speak up. And then in being in a leadership position, sometimes does require you to say things that no one else feels comfortable, at saying, or sometimes it's at the, right there at the table, or sometimes you got to handle business behind the scenes. But, that imposter syndrome, I do think it needs to be squashed, but the reality is, as people, I do think we all can sometimes have seasons of insecurities, for whatever reason that's going on in our lives. And we got to press through those moments. Yeah.
I love everything that you've said about imposter syndrome. And in our conversations that we've had, the one thing that I shared, it's taken so long. I finally feel I'm at a point, and I don't know what it is, and the age. What's the magic age? I don't know what it is, but you
don't need to talk about that number.
Wait, did we talk about the number? You get to a certain point or a certain age, and you finally, yes, feel comfortable in your own skin.
Yeah.
Yes? But I want to also say this, and this goes to the leaders in the room, the LAWA leaders that I work with. One thing that I think makes such a huge difference is pulling in your teams as part of the conversation, as part of the decision making. I think that's made such a huge difference. And I joined the airport development group coming from an entirely different industry, right? Community relations director. So this was a whole new world for me. Construction, architecture, engineering, all of this was so new. And so to pull me in, to allow me to be a part of this world and to be a part of this master class, it's been the best gift that I could have ever imagined. And I think that's a part of addressing the imposter syndrome, is pulling those that are new into the conversation and having them a seat at that table.
I completely agree. And I think too, and I love that you said this, because I do think it's our generation that as we look at the younger folks in the crowd, in our meetings, pull them in, and also get some practice in there. One of the things I do like to do in some of our meetings, I like to go around and ask, what do you think? What's your thought? Or grab someone, the staff members, a couple at a time. What do you think? What's your thoughts? Because when you have that in the room, the imposter syndrome, you tend to be quiet, right? You don't say anything. And those are ideas that we're missing. Those are thoughts and solutions that we're missing. So we want to encourage the conversation. And so for our younger folks that are coming in, I challenge all of us, again, that are on the other side of our career, to pull folks in. Absolutely do that. Let's squash that together.
Squash it. Okay. I think we have just maybe a couple minutes for maybe one or two questions. I'm getting a thumbs up. And so I did want to open it up before we close it out, and I think I turned it off, so you may have to turn it back on. If there's one or two questions that you want to ask now, and then if not now, or if you're too shy, after this we are going to have networking, but wanted to turn it over to the audience.
Good afternoon. So sitting here listening to your career and how you broke through the glass ceiling of being a woman of color and being a woman in this industry, as another woman of color and a woman in this industry, how do you encourage someone like myself to take those risks? I mean, you talked a lot about positioning yourself to be in the right moment, but it's for me, sometimes it's like the fear of seeing these great individuals and thinking, sometimes I'm not worthy. Like you said, I'm not good enough. And I know that I am. But in your own moments of doubt or insecurity at some point in your career, what did you self-talk yourself into saying that I'm worthy of this? Yeah. You know what I mean? So.
Well, first, thank you for that question. Yeah, there's moments, and I do think, and that's the value of a network as well, because sometimes your affirmations can come from different places, right? And for those, like I had friends in the industry, mentors in the industry that I can have real talk with, like, hey, am I really thinking this right? Is this, because should I really go for this job? And I'm one of those people that I do make slow decisions, I have to admit. And so sometimes it takes 10 times for me to like really feel good about it and then move forward. And so I do think it's your network of folks, right? And then also sometimes you have to sit down and also write some of those things down and think about your career and what your resume looks like, where have you been, and also some conversations with maybe some folks that really don't know you, and if you can grab a bit of their time and share with them kind of like, this is who I am, right? And this is my career. This is, what's your thought of, can you give me any advice of that? And so I've asked for folks for advice. I've asked a lot of opinions out there when I had to make some major moves. But at the end of the day, it does come down to your final decision. And that's where it kind of, you have to pull something right from inside to say, am I going to be confident enough to do it? And you do it because you have what it takes. You do it. Comes in here.
Any other questions? I see one in the back.
Hello. My question is, I'm an electrician for IBEW, and I'm hearing a lot of my local and other unions being like, oh, we have a huge demand for women. We need more women to join the trades, and we need more women in these male-dominated fields. But then you get in these situations where it's not necessarily an environment made for women, and I was just wondering, what have you done to pioneer your career choice for the next woman to come in and make it easier on them?
So that's where, again, being a part of organizations. So there's things that I find that are valuable is me personally being involved in those organizations that have targeted women and pulling them up, right? And so those are conversations, those are mentees that I have, and really wanting to encourage them to not give up, because I know what it's like. I know what it's like when you're in the room and you're the only one, and it is hard. And I don't know with some of the other speakers, but it may not seem that way sometimes, but it is a lot easier today than what it used to be. but I would say, you know, continue to work and do the best that you can in your field, and that respect will come. It will come. It may take time, but I do believe it's important to reach out, support one another. So mentorship, working with different organizations to encourage the entire field to bring women in is some of the things that I do. And so you have to decide, like, at least for me as a leader, what are those things that I can do to make a difference? Those are the two areas that I have. Great question.
I think we have one more, and then we'll wrap up.
Okay, I guess I'm standing up.
All right.
Hi, I'm Janae. Hi, Amy. My question is, do you feel it's necessary to have the letters behind your name in order to get through the doors? Because sometimes on paper you can't get through the door even though you feel you're qualified. Or is it just best to know people and be connected to get through those doors?
The letters behind your name. Did you earn those letters behind your name?
Yes, ma'am.
They should be behind your name.
Okay.
You earned it.
Sometimes I ask because I'm debating on going back for a master's degree because I feel like I can't get through the doors just looking at the paper.
Do you? One of the questions I would say, and we could talk more later, is ask the question of why do you want to get your master's and what it's for. But don't be ashamed of the certifications, the education, all of that that you've earned. But I will say this, and I will say this. What is so valuable to me is and those initials are great, and you can have them behind your name, they're great. But when someone is able to vouch for your work because you have already hit that ball out the park, initials are none, that to me speaks volumes. It speaks volumes. So don't be afraid to have those. But you want people, our industry is so small. It is so small. And what ideally you want others to be able to know and say, if anybody were to call anyone and say, hey, I'm thinking of so-and-so for this. Oh, I know Janae. And Janae is, yes, she's qualified and this, and she's also a team builder. She's a hard worker. She communicates well. All those other things also speak volumes. Okay?
If I can, I'll ask you more about it
Okay.
offline. Thank
All
you.
right.
I think with that,
What?
we're going to end this, and I have to say, I cannot thank you enough, Cynthia, Director of America's Coolest Airport.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for allowing us to come to your home, and Jet Zero.
Give another hand for Jet
Thank
Zero. Yes.
I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, and I
you.
hope that it's the first of many more. We can
Absolutely.
have continued conversation about this journey that we're on.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thanks, everyone.